Well, here we are in Washington, D.C. with Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful himself. Pleasure to see you in person, sir.
Great to be here. Thank you.
You kicked off the morning
Yeah.
on the Trump bonds. This is, I know if anything else, you're a free market guy. You must love, for once, government officials talking about the free market.
Yeah, I do. I mean, listen, I got on board with this because it's good policy. I don't shill for politicians. I really shill for good policy, and I thought this was a great idea. It's really bipartisan in many ways anyways. But what really struck me about it when I heard the details, I heard about this maybe 7 months ago was the first time it came on my radar. I'd spent so much time in my early career in educational software, a learning company. We were the largest education software company. And we were terrific at advancing math and reading scores. But nobody in our industry even focused at all on financial literacy. And we really failed the country because today there's 110 million people out there that have no idea what to do near retirement. They have no savings accounts. They haven't planned for anything. You know, they're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And so...
And in fairness, probably weren't taught.
They weren't. But this idea has a brilliant educational aspect to it because when you open this account in an individual's name, and as soon as they're cognizant of money at probably the age of 5 or 6, they're going to be interested in what's in there. And they're going to start to learn about how it works. They're going to see it on their mobile device, whatever they look like in 5 years. But the key to this is that it's going to grow at the traditional market rate of 8 to 10% a year. So, you know, if you just start with the basics and put in the minimum amounts, you could be 50, 60, even 80,000 at 18 years old, which is a great anchor to start life with when you actually have to deal with educational costs and everything else. So I like that a lot.
You like good policy. You said you're not really a political shill, but you like good policy. The one thing that you share in common with your colleague, Mark Cuban, is he's also politically active. I don't know that he necessarily sees things eye to eye, but I know you've both done well financially. Do you think he'd embrace something like this, even though he's not a big fan of the president's?
You're right. I think he would. I haven't talked to him about it yet, but you know he's very busy trying to reduce pharmaceutical costs.
Yeah.
But Mark's pragmatic. This makes sense. I mean, I don't know why anybody wouldn't like it. I think you can be on different political spectrums, but on this particular policy, it's a unifier. I really, really think so because we got a big problem. We got a lot of people that have zero plans for how they're going to survive when they hit 65. And I think that's a huge problem because you're putting the burden on Social Security, which in itself is a much more expensive vehicle than this. This has very little cost associated with it. It's frictionless.
Yes.
And I think it's even better than charity in some ways.
You said to me, we were just talking before this interview about if people follow you on social media, you're doing your morning media hits in pajama pants, and you said, right. I don't care. I don't have, that's what I love about you. And I was going to ask, because you are in this unique spot where you're a finance, you're in a bit of politics now, as well as entertainment. The entertainment community, as we know, is particularly hostile to this administration. How has it treated you, or do you care, is my point.
You know, I just finished shooting, and I'm very proud to say that it's been nominated for an Oscar, Marty Supreme. And, you know, when the director, Josh Safdie, came to me and said, look, we're looking for a real a-hole, and you're it. So I said, I'm just proud to be that guy for you. And, you know, the whole experience was wonderful because it really took me out of my comfort zone, but you're right. I think Hollywood traditionally has been quite hostile to the more conservative movement. I don't consider myself, I'm sort of pragmatic in my views, you know? There's some liberal policies I agree with and some that I don't, but basically I want the country to be successful for entrepreneurs. The entire American economy for 250 years has been driven by people that take risk. It's about a third of the population. I'm their advocate in Washington. That's why I'm here so much. Supporting businesses 5 to 500 employees. And most of those people are pragmatic people. They're not all conservatives. There's plenty of liberals, but they're pragmatic. They live their lives building their business, taking care of their families and their customers. They're not tied up in the crazy stuff that sometimes politics drags us into, because they have to make a living. And I think that's what's so refreshing about working with them.
Final question, I know you got to run. TikTok, you had expressed some interest in that a while back.
And, you know, I was one of many bidding groups. You can't win every deal. And I tried everything in my power. I was just talking to Michael Dell about it because he's in the syndicate. I tried everything I could to get in there, but
Are you happy where it's ended up? I mean, ultimately, I think you would have preferred it.
I was willing to bid 20 billion for it. So the president got it for 14. He did a phenomenal deal. That business is worth way more than $14 billion. You know, it's got 7 million businesses on it that are really, really productive and profitable. And I applaud them. And I'm never a sore loser because the people that are in that syndicate are people I do business with now anyways. So it's sort of like we all try to get in. This deal is really led by the Ellisons in terms of they took over the responsibility for the servicing of the tech and providing the covenants that are required by law, by the Supreme Court, which is a big responsibility. And then Silver Lake, and then of course, some other players on it that fit into that. But it's a very small cap table.
Outside of business, important from a geopolitical point of view that it's not in China's control.
Yeah, look, I'm not a big China fan. I love the Chinese people, but I don't like the Chinese government, and I think they're the only enemy. I mean, when I think about policy with Canada, for example, I want to unify the economies for one singular reason, to tell the Chinese don't mess with us. Because I think we have to spend 5% of the combined economy's GDP just to defend the North. Look, the Chinese are coming for us. I'm sorry. It's just, that's a fact, and if people don't wake up and smell the roses, they're going to miss this thing. It's bad.
Kevin O'Leary, thanks a lot for your time, sir.
You got it.
Appreciate you.
Sure.